Welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today I just wanted to walk around and do a mini bulb tour of what's blooming this time of year. I also wanted to talk about some of the plans for the new growing season going forward. Sitting out here in the island garden on the stone bench we put in last year, and the walking path and everything else. Now you can see all the beautiful hyacinths popping up all around me out here. Got them on both sides of the bench. Got a drift going through the right and the left, and then we have them on both sides of the stepping stones going straight out. I think they worked out really well this year. I'm glad that I got them transferred over when I did so that they could bloom over in this area instead of over at the rose bed. I did leave some in the rose bed, so we will check out those whenever I get over to that side. But I think this area is looking real nice with these blue jacket hyacinths and the white ones in pink. I don't know what kind they are. I actually just got them for $1 after Mother's Day last year and got a bunch of them. Over on the right side we have the hellebores still blooming, got the droopy flowers. I have a ring of daffodils over here and they're just not quite mature enough to make a big statement yet, so we'll have to wait for those to get a little bit bigger. On the other side of the path, beside the bird bath here, we have a bunch of hellebores blooming. They're looking really nice with the pinks and the yellows and the whites. Different shades going through. Some of my grandma's pottery that she's made. So just keeping it nice out here. Got some blooming over here on the peninsula side that I still need to weed out. So right here we have a beautiful little crocus, I believe it is, and it's popping off. Nice beautiful shade of pink. But I got a few of those scattered through here. What are you doing, Poppy? Get out of my garden. Echo, hey, out. What are you doing? Out. Don't walk all the way through. I said get out. Poppy, pick a side, get out. We have another one over here and has two heads on it. I don't know, this is probably the second year I guess they're in here, so we'll see how they do. I actually have some deer or rabbits or something eating on my lilies that I planted out on the front. Last year in the fall, I redid this whole mound and got it all planted out with perennials, so I didn't have to do a lot of work this year. I just have to come in here, weed, mulch, and put in a few, I'll probably just drop in a few zinnias for some pops of color that'll last all through the season. But the rest of this place just has some nice perennials that we just have to wait for to pop up at the right time. Echo Pup is heading out to the barn to check on the chickies. He likes to sneak out there these days now that the chicks are up in the barn. But really though, these hyacinths smell amazing and look amazing going throughout here. It's hard to catch the full spectrum on camera, but just looking across, they are a nice big pop of color. Coming on to the back side of that bench, we have a hellebore blooming there. We have an Echo Pup in the shade, and a nice drift of daffodils that are nice and big. Look at those big poofy pom-pom style daffodils. Really nice. I don't think, yeah, they do have a little bit of a fragrance. That's nice. You got to get right up in there to smell it though. I also have a peony behind this weed popping up here underneath the daffodils, so that'll be coming up a little bit later. And then the drift of hyacinths that are all still have to bloom yet, so we didn't catch these ones in bloom, but it's hard to catch all the bulbs blooming at the same time, so I'm doing the best I can. This mountain ash tree, I don't know, it's looking really healthy, but it just hasn't been doing what it's supposed to be doing the past few years. So we are planning on taking these out, or taking this mountain ash tree out and replacing it with the Braxton's Brown Beauty magnolia tree that we picked up last year. But I don't know, it just looks real good. I want it to do well, but it's been struggling for so many years. We might just have to replace it with something nicer. On the back side of the island here, it is clear that the deer have been here. That was a lot of rhyming, that was not on purpose, but these deer have been crushing my lilies all the way down the row here. And then the little rhubarb popping up there too. That rhubarb survived. and some hellebores behind that. I even picked up some fruit trees that I will be adding to the food forest. Speaking of the food forest, we have some buds starting to blush here on the nectarine tree. And this nectarine is one of the prettiest trees to be blooming. So I wish I kind of had like a big hedgerow of these, because that would be really nice, but I did just prune this back in the spring to keep it to a manageable size. So we'll see how many blooms it'll put on this year, but last year it had a really nice show, and I'll try and prune it at the right time this coming year so I can get the best show out of it next year. Blooming for the first time is this Cleveland pear that I put in here last year. Looking just beautiful. I love the Cleveland pear because it always blooms first. It's really the sign of spring for me out here. And I put 2 in here. I have a third one that's going to be going in once I can get all that stone and trunk moved for the pond, all the pond material moved. The third one's going to be going in, and then I'll have a nice row of the Cleveland pears to always be blooming. The poppy bed garden definitely needs some work. I threw some weed fabric over it during the winter just so whenever spring came like this, it would kind of suppress a lot of the weeds back until I had time to get to them. You can see a bunch of them are popping up through the fabric because I don't have it all stapled down very well. But I want to come in here and actually pull all this fabric off, put a nice layer of topsoil in, put the fabric back on, and mulch it. So that's going to be a process, but that'll make this bed a lot easier to manage throughout the years. I also want to put a little pathway right here so I can get through this stone wall of the driveways. Across the driveway I have a little row of these lemon, I don't know what they're called, but they have a lemon center with the white around it, and they just look great. I have a little drift here, and they are young because I just put them in last year, so only one more is blooming. But you can see how beautiful these are going to be down the road once they get a little bit older. Come on, pup. In the pergola here, we have residents in both birdhouses hanging off the top. And we even have a resident up in the poplar tree and the red maple tree birdhouse, as well as the maple across the way. So all the birdhouses are all fully attended here on the property. And I was coming in here to show you the daffodil in here. This one is all truffled or crinkled, or I don't know, but it has a nice tight multiple petal look. And I like this one, it's a little bit different. It also has the green and dark yellows in it instead of anything else. And it looks like it's been doing pretty well in this spot, and it's going to have a lot of blooms here coming this week. The pergola this year, I'm planning on doing a jungle theme garden up here, so that's going to be a lot of big leaves and some bright colors, some canna lilies, some elephant ears, and some other things. You'll have to just wait and see, but I'm going for the jungle theme up here at the pergola because with all the gourds that I grow on the backside and the sides and over the top, it'll just work in really well with them, because I'm definitely going to keep growing the gourds here on the pergola. That's what I built it for. I don't know what they are, but we have tiny little flowers popping up here in the yard. They're really pretty. They're just really tiny. A little patch here, a little patch there. I got to mow, but it has just been so wet around here that I just don't have the opportunity to mow. If I tried, it would just make it all muddy and wet, and it would just leave muddy rut tracks all through with the mower. Here in the corner, we have a little daffodil popping off, and I believe I planted a hyacinth right in front of it, but it might be too young. I have some weeds coming up with the hosta that I planted here, so that'll happen if you start taking plants from other gardens. You might end up with weeds inside your root ball, so be careful with that. But the hosta is starting to pop up as well. This is the 9-bark and poppy bed, but right now it is filled up with hyacinths and periwinkle vine. Also, my favorite daffodil on the property, which is this orange kissed white one. It's just beautiful. It has the perfect color texture combo, and I really like the look of this one. Last year it bloomed out way better than this one. I think it's getting too much shade from this 9-bark, so I'm going to be pruning this thing back this spring. Or maybe I will, yeah, I'm probably going to be pruning this back. It's definitely going to hurt the bloom of this 9-bark, but I'm just going to have to sacrifice it for this year so we can get it back into shape. Puppy's on full guard here. You can't see it, but there's a carpenter bee going up into the wood, and Puppy's on full alert. Puppy, oh, you are loud. loud, buddy. You are loud. You will definitely chase down some carpenter bees, any bees really. A fly, if a fly ends up in the house, he'll run all around the house trying to get that fly, which he's a good puppy. He's a protector. But the hyacinths are looking good in the back. Some of them already bloomed out and fizzled. They're done. I have the pinkish color, the blue jacket, which is kind of purpley, but that's my favorite. And then a darker hued pink right there. And the rest of them are already done there, which were blue and pink. And then I have another pink and blue jacket, just kind of mixed up going down the line. That blue jacket is definitely one of the prettiest flowers I have. And it smells the best. I do have crocus planted all through this bed, but I guess it's too young to be blooming. You can see the poppies all coming up through the mulch. They self-seed every year, so I don't really have to sow them, but I do add different colors in here, trying to get them to start and mix together with what I have in. A lot of them get stuck on the outside of the trail here though. We have out here at the roadside garden all the daffodils blooming, which they always do pretty well out here. We have some different types. The dark yellow center with some paler yellow fins, but it's a big trumpet right there. We also have grape hyacinths coming up out here, which do smell nice. You have to pick them though, because they're all the way on the ground. And actually I don't smell anything on this one. I know that they smell nice though. They call them grape hyacinths because they look like grapes. They don't actually smell like grapes though. So yeah, there's that. Also have some peonies coming up out here as well. These daffodils out here are looking really nice. Get a picture of these. I also have the green crinkle one out here, the yellow and green. Some of them are blooming a lot more open. You can see how beautiful they get when they open up all the way. We also have some wild hyacinths, the little blue ones blooming out here, and some creeping phlox that I just got planted. New addition out here is this creeping phlox, which I really wanted. I always wanted the phlox. I love the phlox, whether it's creeping or the upright versions. But then we have some wild bell hyacinths out here and some lilies coming up. Again with the crocus that's still too young. So this was autumn crocus. I forget where I got them from at this point, but still waiting on any blooms from them. Behind the rock wall we have a whole row of daffodils doing great. I put a creeping phlox on this side of the mailbox as well, and more punchier, brighter pink one. Hopefully it'll spread out. And then the lilies are coming up there. We got the hostas coming up around the mailbox, and the clematis is already starting to come alive. And I can even get this to hop onto the trellis at this point. That's going to look really nice again this year. The daffodils are looking good. I just got these started with my dad. I got them from a friend's house and planted these in the hot summer 2 years ago, and they're all just starting to get acclimated to the new area and starting to take hold and actually put on a decent bloom show. You can see that there's some hyacinths speckled on through there as well, and these should turn out really well throughout the years. More daffodils and hyacinths at the base of the Royal Empress tree. This is the world's fastest growing tree. Fourth year, I think I'm going into the fourth year now. I have buds up there to be blooming, but I just don't know if I'll be able to get any buds to open up. We'll have to wait and see. This tree likes the warmer weather, and there's a lot of bugs out there, dang. But yeah, this tree likes the warmer weather, so if I get a late frost, we're probably gonna not see any blooms on this tree. But I'm gonna wait for this tree to give it its best shot of blooming, and then I'm gonna prune it back. My neighbor's daffodils are doing way better than mine. We got a nest going on in the spruce tree here. I don't know, is anything in there? Oh, we got a robin's nest. I ain't gonna bother it, but I'm gonna keep an eye on that throughout the day so I can see if they hatch. We just got the line of hydrangea, limelight hydrangeas all pruned back. You can go check out that video, getting it cleaned up. I haven't got it all weeded out yet, but that'll take time. Coming over to the perennial bed, we have some daffodils popped up, some hellebores are blooming, and now we're finally getting the hyacinths to pop up. This is a nice pale yellow that's actually really pretty. It's a lot different than the other ones. It's not just a white. That's nice. That seems to be a deeper pink as well. Another pink, and one that's too young, I guess. The hellebores that we pruned back over here are still blooming nicely as well, real big. And we have some more hyacinths that I just got in the ground last year, so they are not putting on a strong show. It's really heavy clay down here, so they might not be having the best time, but they'll get acclimated and probably do better next year. We also have some more hellebores over there with some daffodils that are just coming into full bloom. That's actually a pretty heavy drift, so those will bloom out a lot nicer and thicker than they are right now. Yeah, there's a nice zoom on this camera. In the front porch area here, we got it decorated for Easter, and I have some wild bell hyacinths popping up, blooming a little bit here, and also some regular hyacinths as well. They're not really actually positioned anywhere specific, just a white one right next to that and a blue over there, so I just wanted some color to be popping up here. I actually want to get some daffodils in here, maybe even over in the hosta bed as well. I got some pansies and plugged them in the pots going around here. A little bunny rabbit and some pansies in the stanchion pots as well. Some fake flowers, and I plugged in a couple begonias. Just trying to get some spring color out here. And some more pansies. Pansies do pretty well in the shady front garden here. This is the north side of the house, so the pansies do really well underneath the covered roof over here. What are you doing, pup? Come on. Over here at the greenhouse, we do have a bright, cheery patch of daffodils blooming. Look how gorgeous that little patch is. This works out perfect for my greenhouse, kind of lays the setting. I like it. We do have plants growing here in the greenhouse. We have seedlings starting up. We have herbs growing, some basil. We got some flower seedlings popping up all over the place, some more germinating. We got things growing on in here. Everything pertaining to getting the garden ready for show and ready for the growing season will be on our Whitt Acres Nature at Home channel, so make sure you're subscribed to all the channels down below so you get all the content coming out from Whitt Acres. Now we're going to do a little update on the pond area and the patio. This is kind of the main area we have during the summer that we hang out in, and it's actually looking pretty good right now too. In the rose bed, I left some hyacinths over here on the edge with the daffodils just for this reason, so they can look pretty and smell pretty here on the patio. And then I missed one white one there. You see, we got the roses pruned back. They don't look too good, but I'm hoping that they come back because I don't really want to replace them this year. I would like to, but I don't think that's in the cards right now. We have some more blue jacket hyacinths over here surrounding the clematis. The clematis is just starting to come back alive. It put on a great show last year, and I'm going to leave it go again. I got it pruned back so it can refill out the whole trellis again and look good. It'll bloom around autumn time. It's a sweet autumn clematis, so it should bloom sometime during September. So my cold frame's also out here, and the lettuce is growing. Look at all that lettuce. I need to harvest that. So I definitely have a full bag of lettuce to be harvesting, and the radishes are growing. We definitely have some red in there. You can see the radishes are growing. They're still pretty small, so I don't want to be pulling any of them out yet, but we'll be getting radishes, fresh radishes here soon. We even have some onions, some bunching onions you can see growing up. Looks pretty good. And I still did not get any spinach, kale, or rainbow Swiss chard. I don't know what it is, but I re-sowed them because they didn't come up the first time, and I'm still not getting any. I came in here and sowed another line of radishes, so they'll be succession sown and coming up right behind this row, but still no kale, spinach, or chard. So hopefully they come up in the raised bed down in the vegetable garden. Right above the raised bed is the flower bank around the pond, and we do have some perennials popping up here. I even moved some hyacinths into a flower pot and put it into the bank right there next to that log, and it's looking nice. Turned out to be a bunch of blue jacket hyacinths and a real deep maroon purple one. Some daffodils blooming up behind it, and just look at that scene. It just looks so nice right there. I'm gonna take a picture. Hey puppy, focus. Good boy. That might be the thumbnail. We have a couple pink ones up there, even just splashing some extra color. The columbine's looking really nice and full, and that's going to put on a good show here in a little while, as well as the lupin coming back looking big and beautiful. These always look really nice. We just had some sun today. It's about almost 80 today, 78, and you can see we got some leaf curl going on, but this was just a freak day. It's going to go back down. We don't actually sustain any hot temperatures during this time of year. Up around the waterfall area, you can see a couple more smaller daffodils blooming. We do have a lot of varieties of daffodils on the property. This one's an all yellow, and it's just a lot tinier. So we have been trying to get this pond done the first thing we do this season, but the weather just has not been cooperating. It's been so wet that we can't get the backhoe down in here to actually do any moving, and even when we do get it down in here, we really can't work in the mud and the slop safely to get everything moved around the way that we need to. So we are trying to get this done as soon as possible, but for the meantime, I just have to keep pumping out water from the sump pit and from the basin until we can get in here. We have to move this liner back down because that wall on the back side slumped. We didn't have enough rocks against that wall to hold it in place for over the winter, so it actually slumped down. So I'm gonna have to pull that whole liner up from that side, dig that slump out, re-edge all the shelves, put it back in place, and then we can rock out the whole pond. I'm hoping that's the only problem we have right now, but we're not gonna find out until we actually get in there and start working on it. We just have a lot of different projects going on right now across the whole property, so we're getting done what we can when we can. Another new project is the expansion of the vegetable garden. I have the yard edged out here that I'm getting a video together about doing the whole thing, but right now you're just going to get the idea. So we're going to be pulling this whole curve around and putting up the fence. I want to put up a trellis gateway here so I can grow some vines over top. I want to walk through an archway. So I have the markings mapped out here. Now I can come in and I can go left of the pollinator ring, and then I just want to get a nice bed of flowers going over here around the fence, and then along that whole fence line I want to do a sun border with dahlias and echinacea and zinnias and just a lot of different sun loving plants, and that should be a nice area over there to see from afar. It'll still have a bunch of color. And down here we have some more grape hyacinths that I just plugged in over last year or the fall just to have something growing in here, and I'm glad I did. I like seeing them pop up. And then we have the viola growing up in the grass, and it's starting to bloom as well. We have a lot of that growing up. It's pretty much a weed here. We have a hibiscus right here that I'm planning on, well, it's already in, so hopefully it grows. We have a red bud right beside it that the deer snapped in half, so I'm definitely having a lot of trouble with the deer, but what are you gonna do? You just gotta keep putting in plants, and hopefully I can put in more plants than they can eat. We'll see. Around the bend here, we have a variegated yucca and a black tower. Is this a black? I think it's a black tower. Elderberry? Elderberry? Yeah. Black tower, elderberry. It's kind of like the black lace I have out front, but this one's supposed to be more upright and slender. So I have that right there. We go down the fence line. I'm going to be getting a lot of plants put in here. I'm thinking about doing a lot of pollinator loving plants, but we'll see what I can get. Down here I'm going to be putting in a gate to access with the tractor stuff, and then I'll be putting in another gate at the very end to get in with the backhoe. So this whole area will be fenced off from the dogs, and I won't have to worry about them getting in this year. Got some of my spring season crops planted. We have a video on that. Go check it out on our other channel. The spring garlic is coming up as well, and I'm planning on moving this raised bed. So I got all the compost shoveled out of it, and I'm planning on putting it up here on the other side of this gate. And I might just add some more beds going down that whole fence line throughout the years, but we will see later on. Down here by my Royal Empress tree, I have some more hyacinths popping up. We got some pink hyacinths blooming over here. The irises are popping up, the lilies, the daffodils are still blooming down here. Got a yellow with a white. The deer came by. You can see how much they ate my lilies. and they couldn't get to those lilies. Those and those. So yeah, the deer are coming in and eating them. I'm glad that the deer don't eat my hyacinths, and it seems like they only nibble a little bit on the irises there. That's a nice pink right there. That is a pretty one, right? We also got a lot of trees planted out in the south garden, I could probably call it. I'd like to call it the south garden. So out there at the end of the field, that's the south garden. We started planting out a bunch of trees. We have a bunch of taller maple trees from a grove over on the nursery side of the property. And we dug those up with a backhoe, me and my dad. We got them planted out there. It's hard to see because they're not leafing out right now. But we planted 4 in the fall last year, and then we planted another 7 in the spring this year. And I planted 6 Norway spruce out there. I have plans for at least 12 more trees and some more shrubs too. I'm gonna start loading up that south garden because as you can see how bare it is, it's not gonna stay like that forever. Forgot to mention about this raised bed. Whenever I do move it, there is a lot of good soil right here, but I need the pathway to get the backhoe through this area and into the pumpkin patch. So if I ever do grow a giant pumpkin like I am still trying to do every year, then I'll need some access, and that is going to come from this area right here. The rest of it's all blocked off with more raised beds, so I need to move this one just in case I get lucky and grow a big pumpkin that I want to show off. So there's still a lot of good soil in here because I had 12 inches of mushroom compost draining on it all season long and winter. So what I plan on doing is turning this into a strawberry bed. It'll just be on the ground, but it will be in the whole garden fence, so I shouldn't have any problem with the dogs or anything else walking through it. Yeah, the fence isn't going to be tight to rabbits and deer or whatever, but I should have a pretty good chance with the strawberries in here. And then the wheelbase of the backhoe can go right around the bed, and I shouldn't have any problem with crushing the strawberries. If they do, strawberries multiply pretty fast, so I won't have to worry about those. Puppy, is your ball behind the fence? Your ball got stuck, huh, puppy? Go. I think that's everything I wanted to show you guys. So if you like what you see, go ahead and hit that like button before you go. Hit subscribe if you want to see the garden throughout the growing season. I'll take you around just like I did and show all the different things worth showing around the property as they start blooming throughout the year. It's just starting to rain here, so we made it. And you can see me and Echo on the next one. Thanks for watching. Oh, we got a robin's nest.